Let's talk about today about this book I just read, Jeb Blount's Virtual Selling. Just finished this book. Thought I'll just film these videos with my phone, even though I have the better camera and everything. It's just so much faster to make these quick book summaries for you on my phone here. So this was a pretty interesting book, very relevant when 100% working online on video calls and so forth. That's why I bought this book in the first place. A sales mentor recommended this book, and I really liked it. There was a lot more than just virtual selling in this book. He went to like kind of the basic stuff also that doesn't really just apply to virtual selling, but virtual selling is still selling. I think that was one of the chapters he also mentioned here. Virtual selling is still selling, but it's it's become very interesting, like how much things change when selling online. A lot of people don't really understand like the different things that you need to pay attention to when you are selling online. Like when COVID-19 hit, the pandemic, and everybody basically, well, not everybody, but most salespeople couldn't like go in the field, meeting customers and everything. Everybody had to work with either video calls or normal phone calls. And that's where a lot of these factors come into play. So let's kind of go. I'll summarize this book, give a little bit of a review, how I like this, like usual in these videos. If you're new, by the way, here in this channel, make sure you subscribe. I have a lot of sales book reviews on this channel. I have a lot of any personal development, business, finance, health book, summaries, reviews, a lot of books, kind of all over the place, philosophy books, psychology, everything. I'm really curious to learn about a lot of different things, but yeah, this was really relevant to my work. So as maybe some of you know, I'm a fitness coach, online fitness coach, sell weight loss coaching and so forth. So that all happens online on video calls. That's where all of these things come into play that are very important to pay attention to, because you can really look bad online or on video calls if you don't do things right, because of like the lighting, the camera angles, the background, everything we're gonna talk about. So let's see. So let's just go over actually the contents here, and I'll kind of talk about my favorite points here, favorite takeaways. And I literally just finished this today. I think that's a really good thing, by the way, to do if you read books. Summarize them in writing or in speaking, even if it's not on video like this. You could maybe kind of meet with a friend and kind of like tell them about this book or something. I mean, any book that you read, it's a good way to really memorize it, lock it into your head, into your brain. So yeah, first of all, he talked here a little bit about like how people who are used to selling in person are really like frightened about video calls and everything. But yeah, it is kind of intimidating actually. Like it just feels so much more natural when you're in person with someone on the table. I mean, at the table meeting with them or something, versus like when you're like on video calls. It's kind of strange because you kind of like, you're looking into their eyes, but you're not really like, when you look into their eyes in the video, it doesn't look like you're looking into their eyes. And if you look at the camera, then you don't see them, you just see the camera. So it's a very strange thing. That's one of the big takeaways, is like looking a lot into the camera. Like when I'm speaking on the video calls, looking a lot into the camera, even though it doesn't feel natural because the face is below. I cannot really, if this was a video call and I'm now staring at the camera, I cannot really see the other person's face and what they're like. Of course, I can listen to them, I cannot see their facial expressions really when I'm looking at the camera, but this is key because this feels much more like I'm connecting with you because I'm looking into the camera. But that was one major like takeaway here. He talked about emotional discipline first a little bit, then the video sales calls. So yeah, so the closest thing to being there is video calls. Still video you have, because you have to understand, they say I think like 7% is words and 93% is body language and tonality. So with the phone you have the tonality, You have the words and tonality, but you're missing the body language still. So if you can be on a video call, then now they can read your facial expressions, they can read your body language, you can be much more charismatic or convincing that way. Let's see, 5 elements. I think, yeah, of course he says like be video ready, like always be like dressed up like properly and everything. Background is a huge thing, and lighting, like you can see here on this video, actually I think I got this pretty well, like I'm facing straight to the window. Actually readjusted things a little bit here in my place to really get the perfect daylight, the most amount of daylight from the window. Indoors, of course there's sometimes too much sunlight, which is not good either, like if your face is all white and covered with or like the sunlight is just shining to your face. That's why it's good to have those shades or covers that you can put a little bit to help with that. But do not be in a dark room when you do calls, video calls, because it just makes you look very like well, shady, and like they cannot read your facial expressions. And the other mistake people do is they face opposite. Their face is like this way and the window is here, and that's what he calls witness protection or something, I think. So that because the look when you have a window behind you is that you have just a dark face, the light is coming from behind, they cannot see anything from your face, and it really looks very strange. That's, I think, one of the biggest mistakes you can make on video calls, especially if you're the person selling. You're not going to make a good impression if you have a dark, shady face, and then nobody can really even see your face. That's one thing. And then you need to have a neat background. I think this is pretty okay what I have here. The TV screen, the TV doesn't actually work, which sucks. This is a rented place and the TV doesn't even work. I would put my logo here if it was working, the TV. And it does reflect a little bit of the window, which looks a little bit strange, but it's not that bad because kind of my head is in the way. But as you can see, there's not an unmade bed here in the background, or like some, like I eliminated all like the distracting things and things like that. I have a sofa actually next to me here. My dog is on the sofa, but I think it's better that my customers don't see the dog because it can be quite distracting. So that's what you also need to pay attention to if you're in sales or virtual selling. Like, don't have like your wife cooking in the background, or like unmade dishes showing like in the, or like the unwashed dishes in the background, or your bedroom in the background or something like that. A good background is something like a little bit of some details, maybe some books there in the background. I have the certificates there. You could have a bookshelf. If you have just a white wall, you probably want to put some kind of like artwork there, or like the diplomas or like certificates or something in the background. Don't make it like too boring either. But you definitely want to avoid the distractions, and because you're probably working from home when you're doing virtual selling, you need to understand that you need to look professional. It needs to still look a little bit like an office, not like a bedroom or something in the background. But anyways, yeah, that's one big point. Try to find a page here where he shows. Then one of the big takeaways actually is, where is that page? Like, besides the window behind you, there's a lot of other mistakes you can make with video calls and video setups with like the camera angle. I hope I can find that. There were some images, I think would be, yeah, there. We had some images here also. So I don't know if you can see very clearly, but there's 6 different. We already covered the witness protection, which looks very strange. And then there's also where you have like the, well, skydiver means that you have a camera pointing upwards and you can even see the ceiling. Looks very strange. The thing with these things is that of course you're on a video call and they know you're on a video call, but you have to understand kind of the unconscious brain is still kind of, it feels strange to you when it doesn't feel like it's real. Like, it already doesn't feel that real to be on a video call, but then when you add all of these weird angles and everything to it, you cannot see the person clearly or something. And it just gives you this strange feeling, and one of them is like you look up to them. Like, it's just, you don't normally go to meet people and unless like they're like super tall or something and look up to them like this. The other thing is like the bubble head, where you're too close to the camera and it just covers everything, and it kind of even stretches your face in a strange way. Then there's the stargazer, where it's the opposite, where you're looking up to the camera, which also looks very strange. Then there was the witness protection. Then the max headroom, where it's like you're like a little me here. you have too much space above here. Like I put in my phone camera, by the way, the grids here, the the two grids both ways, so you can kind of see I don't have a lot of space here. That makes me actually appear a little bit like taller on camera. Like if I'm too high here, then this is like too intimidating. But if I'm like low here, then I start to look a lot smaller when there's too much space above my head. And then there's the Grim Reacher, which is also very weird. Like when you have the camera so low that your fingers and everything are like this on the screen because you have, or the laptop, and you're working and like typing something there, like your hands are like in front of the camera, which looks strange also. So he goes to quite an extent with like he has like a professional camera and microphones and everything to do his video calls. Obviously that's great, he puts into that effort. I think if you have a web camera, a separate microphone like this, it's very important. Like he says, for me, I'm lucky that my job doesn't really require me to like change clothes and everything in between. He says that he changes clothes between meetings because of course you need to meet a CEO, maybe in a suit, but then if you're talking to like farmer or something, you don't want to like be too different. Like you wouldn't go to sell some farming equipment to a farmer in a suit or something like that. But yeah, I mean, the better, I think the more like professional you can be, the better. I just thought that was pretty crazy, like the extent he goes to, like he doesn't have just like a web camera, he has like a digital DSLR camera that he's doing his video calls, and he plugs in the the camera to the computer, and then he's staring in the camera. And I think, I'm not sure if I go to that extent, like plugging my camera and everything for each video call and everything like that, but it's really important, especially if you work on just like a laptop or desktop. You don't want to use the microphone that is just with the laptop, because that's not good audio quality. You want, like I showed, a separate good microphone. I think this is actually better than the podcast microphones, the typical ones some people have in the call, like here, the podcast microphone. The thing is that it just looks strange, like even though it's kind of cool and professional and everything, you have a podcast mic, but it's just strange when you talk to someone. You don't normally see like this huge microphone coming out. Like you want things to still, like, even though you have all this professional equipment, you still want it to look as natural and as close to like a human conversation as possible. That's why you also don't want to have headphones, because when you see someone in person with headphones, you're like, I shouldn't bother that person, he's listening to music or something. So that just also creates this kind of distance between you if you have headphones, because all the time it sends the signal to their brain like this guy's kind of not paying attention, or he doesn't want to like really be involved in this conversation or something like that. Little things. And then of course the camera is, even though you might not need like a DSLR camera, you still want to separate like camera like this. Even if you use a laptop, I always had this, even when I had a laptop, I used this separate camera, because the laptop camera is shit and you cannot place it in a good position also, like if you need to place it a little bit higher or something. But now I have a desktop, the camera is exactly where my eyes are, so I can stare straight into the camera. It doesn't look strange. It's not the skydiver or like whatever, those different angles with the camera. And that, of course, you can point it a little bit different directions, that camera. And yeah, that I think is most of the things about the setup. You want good lighting, background, camera, audio, and then you need to also be sure the angles are working. He even mentioned some things like you can put on the walls, like this sound kind of, I forgot what they're called, but these things that kind of block sound, because sometimes if you're in a room, there can be a lot of echo, and it doesn't sound good at all when everything's echoing. So you can block that with those kind of things you put on the wall. You can help a little bit, or you can just change the room you're in. And then you probably want to have a ring light, especially if you don't have a lot of sunlight all the time. So you need to have a ring light in front of your face when you do those video calls, so the room doesn't go dark, or the lighting is like, if your lighting is like, my light is there, it doesn't really come to my face and doesn't really make my face visible. If I just have that, I actually don't have a ring light here. I have a good ring light in Finland, not here in Spain at the moment, but luckily here the sun is almost always up. I usually don't do calls after the sun sets anyways. So that works for me pretty well. Then there was, of course, he mentioned about Wi-Fi. You need to have really good Wi-Fi because it really looks unprofessional when you have bad internet connection, and it can really make it difficult to hear what you say. You probably want to have like a backup thing. Unfortunately, I don't have fiber here. I cannot get fiber here. They don't have the. I cannot get 5G here. I had 4G before. It's not really fast enough, especially if you have like team meetings with group video call and so forth. But yeah, Wi-Fi, very important to have fast Wi-Fi. Have a mobile hotspot also, even if you have Wi-Fi, so if the Wi-Fi goes down, you can still use the mobile hotspot. And then very like basic things, but some people still forget, like have everything plugged in. You need to double check that you have your like, of course my computer, it's not a laptop, so it doesn't run out of battery, but like if my phone runs out of battery, then the phone just dies. The phone call, the video call just dies because I'm just connected to the hotspot, it's not the Wi-Fi. And that's really awkward because the other person just sees that you left the meeting. They don't know that your battery died, they don't know what happened. And if it takes too long for you, because you need to, like, if my phone dies or if I had a laptop that died, before I could get back to them, I would have to plug in a way that it charges a little bit, then message them to try to get back on the call. If you have someone really busy, they might already 5 minutes later, they might be like hopping on the car and driving somewhere already, and you missed that chance already. He also talked about a very painful mistake where he was really not prepared and like panicking a little bit on a, I think, Zoom call. Then he accidentally clicked the leave. He had like a massive audience there, group call, and he clicked leave, and he basically ruined that whole opportunity because he accidentally clicked leave the meeting, ended the meeting for the whole group. Then yeah, be video ready. I don't really have like a really professional shirt or anything. Like I have the Chicago Bulls hoodie here, but this is just a video. I'm not like on a video call, but yeah, like even like me in a fitness coaching position, I try to put like a good shirt, college shirt, and like relevant. Like I don't put on like a polo shirt or like a graphic t-shirt, or of course I don't wear suits to my calls or anything. I don't even actually have a suit at the moment, but for my calls I need to look like a fitness professional, so I wear sports clothing. Like if you sell real estate, then the suit, you should have a suit on, not a hoodie or like a gym shirt or something like that, obviously. But yeah, then let's see, what else do I want to cover here? I don't want to make this video like super long. Then he talks a little bit about the phone, like video sales calls first and telephone. There's some skills there, of course, but that's like not really that new because people always have used the phone in the past too. But phone is still one of the most effective ways to prospect, even though you have like all these social media platforms and everything. It's just very personal and very quick to prospect with a phone instead of like liking and commenting and networking and everything online. If you have leads to call, that's always great. He talks about email, social media, a little bit touching on social media, not too much, which is great because really social media is constantly changing. Also, it would make this too long of a book. Email, then yeah, that's pretty much it. I took the most value from the beginning of this book because that's why I bought this book, Virtual Selling. I wanted to know what I need to pay attention to when doing virtual selling. I've already read a lot of other sales books, and like the information in the end of the book didn't really differ that much from everything else, of course. Even if a book was written 10 years ago before the pandemic, they're only talking about just basic like sales skills and telephone skills and everything like that. Email has been around a long time, but yeah, I think a good book. Maybe could have been a little bit shorter, but not too long. Pretty fast to read. There was quite a bit of spelling mistakes, which kind of made it a little bit harder to read. Not too many, but more than like usually I see in books, which kind of was like the negative. But he said at one point that he makes those mistakes. Like even though he emphasized how important it is to look professional by writing with good grammar and everything, I don't know why he still had so many mistakes. And even though he said he uses Grammarly, he still had a lot of typos here in this book. But yeah, other than that, pretty good book. He has made a lot of other books. Jeb Blount, this is the first one that I have read from him. Yeah, pretty good book. If you want to order this, I'll attach the Amazon link as always. It's an affiliate link. But if you want to support this small channel that I have here, just really make these videos of every book that I read. But yeah, here's the affiliate link. I found the book for you already, so just click one time. It doesn't cost you anything more to order from my affiliate link and order this book if you found this interesting. If you think you'd like to read this book, like this video if this was helpful, subscribe to the channel for the next books. I think next year I'll try to read, now it's literally 2 more days of 2024 left. Next year I'll try to read a little bit more books again. I tried to pick up a lot more books this year, I think. I made some reviews, but next year I'll probably read even more. So subscribe to see the next ones, and thanks for watching. Catch you next time.